Quisiera iniciar por presentar al ministro Juan Sandoval, encargado de la Dirección General para la Organización de Naciones Unidas, y le pido que por favor nos comparta las palabras de bienvenida.
Muy buenos días, señores funcionarios de Naciones Unidas, señora Yajandra Mihalich, directora del Centro de Información de las Naciones Unidas en México, distinguidos representantes de instituciones de educación superior, asociaciones profesionales y organizaciones de la sociedad civil, señoras y señores, amigos todos. Muy buenos días, bienvenidos a la Cancillería Mexicana, que es la casa de todos ustedes. En primer lugar, quisiera agradecer a la señora Marta Elena López, directora de la División de Planeación Estratégica y de Personal de las Naciones Unidas, a la señora Lynn Goldberg, oficial de Recursos Humanos de la Sección de Promoción de la División de Planeación Estratégica, y al señor Mario Chianchi, oficial de Recursos Humanos del Departamento de Seguridad y Vigilancia de las Naciones Unidas, y compromiso incansable que han permitido que se lleve a cabo este seminario de suma importancia para todos nosotros, para difundir las oportunidades de empleo para mexicanos en las Naciones Unidas. Permítanme explicarles brevemente el objetivo de este seminario y los motivos que nos llevan a emprender esta actividad. En 2007, al inicio de la administración del presidente Calderón, la Secretaría de Relaciones Exteriores hizo una evaluación de las membresías de México en los organismos internacionales a raíz del decreto de austeridad y disciplina del gasto de la Administración Pública Federal. Como resultado de ello, se determinó que una forma de aumentar el costo-beneficio de nuestra presencia en dichos organismos era mediante la inserción de más mexicanos en los secretariados, toda vez que México ha tenido una constante subrepresentación respecto del número de mexicanos que trabajan con lo que México paga. Con lo que México paga deberíamos de tener un determinado número de funcionarios, lo que nunca había ocurrido hasta en los años recientes. Esto ha inquietado a las autoridades mexicanas, particularmente al ser nuestro país el 10º contribuyente al presupuesto regular de la organización y debido a que el número de connacionales en puestos directivos y de cualquier tipo en las Naciones Unidas no corresponde a la talla de un país como México, un país de 112 millones de habitantes, 10º contribuyente, que tenía una muy pobre presencia con funcionarios internacionales, en número, no en calidad, evidentemente. Si México tiene una gran participación financiera, lo debería entonces también tener con personal y sobre todo en los procesos de toma de decisiones de Naciones Unidas. Simplemente un grupo de miembros de la ONU, entre los que no estaban mexicanos, toman las decisiones que tienen un impacto financiero en las finanzas públicas nacionales. Esto es lo que queremos remediar. Con el propósito de revertir esta situación, se hizo un análisis de las razones que podrían explicar la cuestión y se tomaron diversas acciones. Los primeros intentos de aumentar la presencia de mexicanos en los organismos internacionales se efectuaron mediante gestiones de alto nivel con los secretarios y directores generales, sugiriendo a mexicanos para puestos de alta responsabilidad. En un segundo nivel, la Secretaría de Relaciones Exteriores se planteó la estrategia para difundir oportunidades de empleo y de desarrollo y apoyar la participación directa de mexicanas y mexicanos en organismos internacionales que cuenten con la capacidad y méritos que los puestos requieren. Realizamos el examen competitivo nacional, 2 en los últimos 4 años, teniendo un incremento importante en el número de mexicanos que entran a una lista o una especie de roster que ya han pasado los exámenes de ingreso a la ONU. Por primera vez, con estos exámenes competitivos nacionales, México en Naciones Unidas y exclusivamente en Naciones Unidas supera este número ideal de mexicanos que podrían ingresar a la organización. Sin embargo, ya no estamos subrepresentados supuestamente, pero en todos los casos son compuestos de gente muy joven que están al inicio de su carrera en Naciones Unidas. Desafortunadamente, pues todavía queda un largo camino para poder tener los puestos de toma de decisión estratégica que nos interesa. Sin embargo, ya tenemos pasos positivos. En abril de 2009 nace la idea de crear una herramienta electrónica que consta de una compilación de vacantes ofrecidas en el ámbito internacional con el fin de que se agilice la difusión. Esta se encuentra en el portal electrónico de la Cancillería, que como todos ustedes conocen es muy sencillo, sr.gov.mx/vacantes. Ahí pueden encontrar de manera todos los días se actualiza este portal. Hemos buscado divulgar la existencia de esta herramienta y al momento un número significativo de personas lo visitan, pero estas visitas desafortunadamente no se traducen en puestos adicionales para mexicanos en los organismos. Lo que les mencionaba hace un momento sobre la subrepresentación y la sobrerepresentación solo aplica a Naciones Unidas, pero México forma parte de creo que son más de 100 organismos internacionales en los cuales deberíamos tener una mayor presencia de mexicanos. Cabe destacar que la labor del Gobierno de México no cesa con difundir la existencia de las vacantes, sino que se da un seguimiento y acompañamiento personalizado a las postulaciones que prosperan y cuando se requiere se hacen gestiones en todos los niveles para apoyarla. Ese fue un cambio fundamental. No es exclusivamente de que ustedes vean la vacante y se lancen al océano de dificultades que ello conlleva. No, ya tenemos hay personal especializado para apoyarles en la Dirección General para Naciones Unidas, que le van a dar seguimiento a su caso, que van a velar porque todos sus papeles y el proceso de la selección sea debidamente llevado a cabo, que les van a dar tips, que los van a ayudar a prepararse para los exámenes y sobre todo también en esto pues la política cuenta. Muchas veces cuando una vacante es publicada, desafortunadamente ya tiene nombre y apellido porque hay una movilidad también en los secretariados de gente que va a ser ascendida a los puestos. Por eso es muy buena idea también que tengamos muchos mexicanos en el arranque de su carrera y que posteriormente puedan ir subiendo dentro de la escala laboral dentro de Naciones Unidas. También es importante entonces que nuestras misiones le den la dimensión política y, por utilizar términos muy coloquiales mexicanos, que hagan en Nueva York, Viena o Ginebra o Nairobi la grilla necesaria para que ustedes y sus candidaturas prosperen. Tenemos gente que se va a dedicar a dar entonces ese seguimiento a las candidaturas y que podamos tener más mexicanos en todos los organismos. Este es el objetivo central del seminario, precisamente. Lo hemos organizado conjuntamente por la Cancillería, los gobiernos estatales, las instituciones de educación superior y la Oficina de Recursos Humanos de Naciones Unidas. Esta iniciativa sienta las bases para una relación más estratégica con el organismo y busca ampliar las oportunidades de empleo de mexicanos en la organización más relevante del sistema multilateral. Repito, nos vamos a centrar en Naciones Unidas por ser el organismo más importante, más grande, con mayores recursos. Sin embargo, la deficiencia de presencia mexicana la tenemos prácticamente en todos los organismos. Señoras y señores, amigos todos, a pesar del éxito de los esfuerzos emprendidos al momento, todavía existe un potencial mucho mayor. Nos estamos dando cuenta de que una de las razones por las que las y los mexicanos no se postulan a vacantes en organismos internacionales es precisamente por la falta de conocimiento de la amplia gama de oportunidades existentes o por desinformación sobre el proceso y los requerimientos. Para enfrentar esta situación, las instituciones de educación superior, las asociaciones profesionales y las organizaciones de la sociedad civil pueden contribuir enormemente a difundir entre sus redes estas oportunidades e impulsar que más connacionales se postulen. En la Secretaría de Relaciones Exteriores estamos ciertos de que en México existe un gran número de mexicanos y mexicanas con la capacidad, talento y habilidades requeridas para representar dignamente a nuestro país en los organismos internacionales. Necesitamos mexicanos y mexicanas que aporten la visión de México ante los organismos que la comunidad internacional se ha dado. Las universidades, los centros de investigación, las asociaciones de profesionistas y las organizaciones de la sociedad civil están colmadas de jóvenes con vocación global, de jóvenes con vocación internacional que nos gustaría que se integraran a las Naciones Unidas y estamos dispuestos a ayudarlos para ello. Jóvenes y no tan jóvenes, también hay puestos de mayor nivel que tienen que ser considerados y que tienen trayectorias idóneas que hacen falta en los organismos. Los invito así, amigas y amigos, a que seamos parte de este proceso. Los invito a que el nombre de México se escuche en todos los rincones de este planeta, no solo por los esfuerzos de sus diplomáticos, sino también por la voz de sus nacionales que trabajan en estos organismos de la comunidad internacional. Al final del camino sabemos que el buen nombre, la imagen, el conocimiento y la voz de México es responsabilidad de todos nosotros. Muchas gracias por su asistencia.
Muchas gracias, señor ministro, por su maravillosa bienvenida. Ahora quisiera invitar a la señora Jadranka Mihalik, directora del Centro de Información de Naciones Unidas en México, Cuba y República Dominicana, a brindarnos su mensaje.
Muy buenos días a todas y todos. Un saludo a las y los colegas de Nueva York. Me da un gran gusto poder ser parte de esta presentación, como la visita a México de los colegas de la Oficina de Gestión de Recursos Humanos de la Secretaría de la ONU, se puede considerar como la culminación de la cooperación entre la Cancillería mexicana y nuestro centro de información a mi cargo desde hace varios años. Esta cooperación sigue con el continuo intercambio de información sobre los vacantes en la ONU y por parte del SINU, con la inclusión del tema de las oportunidades para jóvenes y tal vez no tan jóvenes mexicanos en las Naciones Unidas, en el programa de presentaciones que regularmente tiene el personal del centro en las universidades, ferias del libro y otros recintos apropiados alrededor del país. Tengo que decir que siempre llenan la sala con jóvenes, como veo hoy, representantes de ONG y otras personas interesadas. Nos gustaría poder expandir estas oportunidades en creación de herramientas de información adicionales, tales como, por ejemplo, exposiciones temáticas sobre diversas de estas oportunidades laborales en la ONU y otros productos adecuados que espero podamos discutir con más detalle durante esta visita de colegas de la sede. Pero no quiero concluir sin mencionar un importante aspecto y tal vez un muy apropiado primer paso en la búsqueda de oportunidades laborales con la ONU, que representa la posibilidad del cumplimiento del servicio social o voluntariado con el Centro de Información aquí en la Ciudad de México. Es una relación mutuamente útil para nosotros en el centro, en el apoyo crucial que la participación de jóvenes representa para permitirnos cumplir con nuestros mandatos, no obstante limitaciones en número de nuestros funcionarios, y para los jóvenes que nos acompañan en permitirlos tener una experiencia importante en el ámbito laboral, trabajando para la ONU por un periodo limitado de tiempo y cumpliendo tareas profesionales muy variadas, Con nosotros trabajan estudiantes de relaciones internacionales, de comunicaciones, de sistemas, de biblioteconomía y varios otros. Hasta tuvimos matemáticos o especialistas en matemática que pasaron un tiempo con nosotros. Entonces, las oportunidades existen y las tienen que aprovechar. También puedo mencionar que este programa cuenta con la cooperación de varias instituciones educativas con las cuales el SINU entró en convenios formales. Por ejemplo, la UNAM es una de estas instituciones. Obviamente nos gustaría poder incluir otras instituciones en este programa, particularmente las instituciones situadas en varios estados de la República. Nuestra política como centro de información es de estar presentes alrededor de México, no solamente en DF, y por eso también estamos experimentando tal vez con el servicio social a distancia. Entonces, si hay aquí presentes estudiantes de otros estados de la República, nos gustaría mucho poder escuchar de ustedes y ver si tienen interés de colaborar con este centro. Para obtener más información sobre este programa y tal vez también sobre las oportunidades laborales entre la ONU, les invito a visitar nuestro sitio que es www.cinu.mx. Les puedo decir con mucho orgullo que este es el segundo más visitado sitio de la ONU en el mundo, después del sitio de Nueva York en inglés. Entonces es un sitio que les puede dar también mucha información sobre lo que hace la ONU en el mundo y en México también, y también les puede ofrecer mucha información cómo empezar a colaborar con la ONU y cómo empezar a participar en las actividades de la organización, tal vez antes de obtener el empleo en las Naciones Unidas. Bueno, aquí me voy a parar. Muchas gracias. Es un gusto ver una sala llena y un tal interés en las Naciones Unidas, y espero que disfruten del taller esta mañana.
Muchas gracias, señora Michalik, por sus interesantes palabras. Ahora, como saben, la mecánica que hemos acordado para el desarrollo de este seminario es que se dará en inglés. Y como cortesía a nuestros ponentes, ahora cambiaremos al inglés. So before we formally begin the seminar, I would like to introduce our very distinguished presenters. Firstly, Martinela López. Martinela López is a national of Colombia. She has over 26 years of field and headquarters experience within the United Nations system. She is a lawyer by background with specialized courses in economics. She has, after all, worked in various human resources positions, such as in UNICEF, UNDP, and the UN Secretariat. In 2009, based on her varied and successful experience, Ms. Lopez was named Director of the Strategic Planning and Staffing Division of the HORM, the position that she holds currently. During her tenure so far, she has led the introduction of the new staff selection system and its associated tool, Inspira. Secondly is Ms. Lynn Goldberg. Ms. Lynn Goldberg has worked for the United Nations in varied capacities, both in peacekeeping operations and at headquarters in New York for more than 13 years. Her first experience in the UN was in 1991 as an intern at the Center for Human Rights at the Office of the High Commissioner for Human Rights in Geneva. She began her professional career with the organization serving as a human rights lawyer in the UN field operations. From 1993 to 1995, she served as a human rights officer in Haiti and in Rwanda, as well as an electoral officer in South Africa. She has served as legal officer affairs Legal Affairs Officer for the Office of the Legal Affairs in the United Nations, specialized in treaty law. From 2004 to 2008, Ms. Goldberg has served as Legal Policy Officer in both the Departments of Peacekeeping and the Department of Field Support, where she managed legal matters impacting on peacekeeping operations. Since 2008, Ms. Goldberg has worked in a number of positions in the Office of Human Resources Management, including in the Office of the Assistant Secretary General for Human Resources Management. Lynn Goldberg holds a master's degree in public administration from the Harvard Kennedy School, a Juris Doctorate in law from Cardozo Law School, and a Bachelor's of Arts in English Literature from the University of Wisconsin-Madison. Thirdly is our presenter, Mario Cianci. Mario Cianci has served with the United Nations for 30 years in a number of positions, not only at the headquarters, but also in offices away from the headquarters and in field duty stations. He studied the degree in international studies. Also, Mr. Cianci then took part and was successful in the UN competitive exam for a promotion to the professional category in the occupational group of administration. As his first assignment at the professional level, he accepted the position of Human Rights Officer with CEPAL in Mexico City, where he served for about 3 years. In addition to New York and Mexico, Mr. Cianci has served in several field duty stations and assignments on various durations, varying from 6 months to 2 years. In particular, his assignments include South Lebanon, Nicaragua, Honduras, El Salvador, Rwanda, and Afghanistan. Over the years, Mr. Cianci held various positions in the Office of Human Resources Management at the UN headquarters, covering the areas of staff administration, staffing, planning, and policy. Mr. Cianci has been in the present position for the past 5 years, serving as a Senior Human Rights Officer in the Executive Office, Department of Safety and Security. In his functions, he coordinates a range of human resources activities, including staffing for a department that counts for over 2,000 staff members, both at the headquarters and field duty stations throughout the world. And last, but however not least, Ms. Olga Sanchez. Ms. Olga Sanchez has been working at the UNFPA since 1991 as Administrative Finance Associate, primarily responsible for the Mexico CO operations. She acts as UNFPA's focal point in the UN Administrative Group and is a member of the Local Salaries Technical Committee. Also, she is part of the UNFPA's Trainer of Trainers team on Atlas, an ERP system implemented by the UNFPA, together with UNDP, UNIFEM, and UNOPS, for processing human resources and financial data. Previously, Ms. Sanchez served as a personal assistant in the area of human resources at the Bank of America Mexico Representative Office for about 5 years. We are very happy and excited to have you here today. Now I would like to ask our presenters to take the stage and formally initiate a very awaited seminar. Thank you. Can I ask for applause? Thank you.
Does everyone hear me? Okay, good. So my name is Marta Elena, and first of all, I'm going to thank you in Spanish. Muchas gracias a todos ustedes por acompañarnos hoy. Hoy va a ser un grupo muy diverso. Tenemos estudiantes, tenemos profesionales de las distintas universidades, de ONGs, así que muchísimas gracias a ustedes, pero ante todo, muchísimas gracias al Ministerio. México, desde que ingresó a Naciones Unidas, ha sido un gran apoyo para Naciones Unidas a lo largo de todos estos años y, como dijo el distinguido funcionario, es uno de los mayores contribuyentes a Naciones Unidas. Así que esperamos que podamos ver algunas de las caras aquí trabajando con nosotros, pero hay muchas formas de influenciar lo que es el mundo y lo que hacemos en el mundo, tanto en la Secretaría como en cualquiera de las agencias. ¿Me están escuchando bien? Okay. Now I have to turn to English. Is that okay with everyone? Okay. So I have, and my team has, 2.5 hours of your attention. Yes? So we're going to try to make it as joyful as possible, and so that you do not get concerned that you want to go out. We want you to stay here. Is that okay? Okay, so let me introduce you very quickly. Lynn. Lynn is, works with my team, and then I have the privilege today of having Mario. Mario used to work with us in OHRM and now is in safety and security. And then we have Olga. Olga is representing the funds and programs, and today more specifically UNFPA. Are you in the right place? Are you sure? It's the last time for you to get out. Okay, this is what we are going to do today. First, we are going to show you a short video, and please don't go asleep. It's only 3 minutes. And it is a video on working with the UN system. It's not only the UN Secretariat. The UN Secretariat is one option, but there are many organizations. We have UNICEF that works for the children. We have UNDP that works for development. We have UNFPA, and Olga will explain a bit more, but we have a number of specialized agencies. FAO for food, the agriculture. Then we have WHO for the health. So I'm not going to tell you everything. You can go on the web and find out everything. So is that okay? So first we're going to do a video. Then with Lynn and Mario, we are going to do a short presentation on various parts of the careers in the UN Secretariat. Then we'll hand it over to Olga, who will give you an example of UNFPA. Are you with me? Okay. Then the fun part starts. Many of you would like to apply for the UN. Many of you will be guiding people to apply for the UN. Many of you may have friends, students, family members that would like to apply to the UN. So Lynn is going to give you some tips of what you need to know and don't do to apply for the UN. Is it clear? Okay. Then at the end, we are going to do some exercises on competency-based interview. Does every one of you know what is a competency-based interview? Oh, this is a great group. All right. So in the UN, all our interviews are competency-based. Even if you never apply to the UN, you may have colleagues, you may have friends that will apply. So it's important for you to know, to guide those people to practice. So we are going to give you tips on competency-based interviews, and I'm going to be needing 4 volunteers. I will not give you anything more. So just prepare yourself. I'm going to be needing 4 volunteers as a minimum, and that we will do at the end. And the reason why we want those 4 volunteers is that we do interviews face-to-face, but the majority are on the phone. And I don't want anyone to get scared. All right? So is that agenda good for you? Are you still in the right place? Yes? Okay, so we are going to start with the video. And Giovanni, now you can press the video. Okay, so are you still awake? All right. So while Giovanni puts the first presentation, that is the one that says, perfect. We just told him a few minutes ago what he needed to do. All right. One last thing on the agenda, after the competency-based interview, we will have around half an hour for questions and answers. So start thinking about the questions that you would like to pose. All right? So now we are going to start with a presentation in just 1 second. We're going to try to do it as informal as possible. So, serving the world. Between all of us, I think we have more than 100 years of experience in the UN, so you have us for the whole morning, and we hope that we will convince you, first of all, that the UN is a wonderful entity, and our charter every day that we see it is the most wonderful document that we have, and that we enjoy going to work every day, no matter what the emergency, no matter what the challenge. So, let's start. Okay, for the UN, how many people here would be interested in working for the UN? Good. So let me do you a test. Are you motivated in making a difference in the world? Are you motivated in making a difference in the world? That looks better. Okay, do you like to travel? Who does not like to travel? If you're scared of the planes, don't worry. Lynn, every time we fly with her in the plane, and Mario saw it, she gets a mess. But she still goes. So, okay, so do you like to travel? Good. Do you like to work in teams? That is extremely important. Like, for example, today we are a team. Olga, we have never met her. And you will see that she will blend in the team today. So we always have to work in teams. So that is critical for us. Do you like diversity? Do you like to eat different foods? Any food? And smile. Okay, so then that may be that you are. Who we are? We are international civil servants. We touch every corner of the world, you name it, health, human rights, security. We work in 192 countries and probably in another one depending on the results of Sudan. We have more than 44 in the Secretariat only, not in the funds and programs and the rest of the UN system, 44,000 staff members. And we have more than 100,000 personnel in the military area and the police area serving 16 peacekeeping missions. Do you hear me better now? I think this one has to. What we do. We do all sorts of things. As I said before, we work in every single area. We work in gender, we work in education, we work in health, human rights, you name it, and therefore there is always an opportunity for anyone who is interested in working in the UN. One of our key areas of intervention with the whole UN system, but particularly also with every single government in the world, is the 10 Millennium Goals. And I'll just enumerate one or two of them. One is to eradicate poverty and hunger by the year 2015. Another is to achieve gender equality throughout the world. Another one is to combat HIV/AIDS and various diseases. But I won't go into each one of them, as those you can read in different websites as well as different publications. But this is something that has united the whole UN system, but particularly it has made a commitment of the organizations with the different governments in the world to make a difference in the world. Where we are. In the case of the UN Secretariat, that Mario, Lynn, and I work at this point in time, we are in every part of the world, but we have some very big locations. And those locations are, for example, Geneva, New York, Vienna, Nairobi. We also have some regional economic commissions. For example, for Latin America and the Caribbean and the Americas, we have it in Santiago, which is called ECLAC, CEPAL. Have you heard about it? Good. And there is an office here in Mexico City. We also have economic commissions in Bangkok, Beirut, and Addis Ababa. And then we have 2 tribunals at this point in time, and some other tribunals, but the 2 main ones are the tribunal in The Hague for former Yugoslavia and the tribunal in Arusha. Peacekeeping operations. Peacekeeping operations cover the whole world. We have peacekeeping and peace-building operations and political missions also in different parts of the world. Some of those locations, for example, here in the Americas is in Haiti. In Africa, we have it in a number of locations. We have it in Sudan, we have it in Somalia, we have it in Congo. And in Asia, also, we have presence in Afghanistan, Nepal, and other areas. So as you can see, we are all over the world. So that is why it is important for us to have staff that respect diversity, are willing to travel, and are willing to live sometimes in very difficult conditions. I will ask Lynn to tell you a story, how she can live in one day with very little water. She will let you know in a minute. What can you do, or what anyone you know can do for us? There are all sorts of areas. We need people in economics affairs, social affairs, political affairs. We need people in audit, legal affairs, demographers we need individuals in public information, radio, TV. I'm not going to go through all of them, but this is just to give you a gist that every single area is covered. We need people in security, and Mario is going to cover security as an example of what are the areas in security that we're needing. We need people in aviation, pilots, individuals that will help control some of the small airports that we need to cover. We need people in conference servicing. We need translators, interpreters. We need cartographers. What else can I tell you? We need people in program management in the library. We have a very big library. So as you can see, every single facet of the world is covered there. Starting points. In the Secretariat, besides the military and police workforce, in the 44,000 staff members, we have 2 main groups of staff members. We have international staff members, and we have local staff members. In the international staff members, these are professional positions, and we will be presenting them in a minute with more detail. We have language individuals in the international professionals. We also have what we call national competitive exam in order to join the UN. We also have, in the local group, we have national officers and general service staff. And for example, Olga will be giving you some examples of what UNFP does here in Mexico at the local level. Another way to join the organization and to contribute to the organization is with consultancies. And finally, another way of helping, although you are not staff members, is having a period of service with us as an internship. And Lynn will be covering that as she started with the UN as an intern. Is it clear up to now? Good? All right. And then in the professional post, which is the concentration today, normally what we need is for P2 positions, either to pass a national competitive exam, or if the post is advertised, to have at least 2 years of experience, or to present a language examination. For P3 positions, and you will be seeing this a bit more detail after, we need 5 years of experience. For P4 positions, we need 7 years of experience. For P5 positions, 10 years of experience. and for the director's position, we need more than 15 years of experience. For the more high-level positions, we are really looking for people with excellent managerial skills and excellent leadership skills. That is the difficulty that we are finding. People are very good technically, but at the time of managing a big team of 100, 200 people, they're not ready to do that. So we need very good people with good managerial skills at those higher levels. Besides that, we are looking for women. No offense to the men, okay? But in some of the areas, particularly in the higher level positions, at the director level P5 positions, in some areas, we are having difficulty in finding women. And one area, for example, is security. In security, we have problems finding women to help in the UN. So are we okay up to now? Yes? So I'm going to turn it over to Lynn. And the reason also why we share it is because otherwise we start losing our voices.
Thank you, Marta. One of the ways to enter the United Nations is, as Marta said, through the National Competitive Recruitment Exam. Is anybody here familiar with that examination? Well, let me tell you, Mexico did extremely well 2 years ago, and we filled a lot of positions, young professional positions with Mexicans. Countries are invited to take the examination if they're not well or adequately represented in the organization. As Marta said, we have 192 member states. So we would like our staff to be representative of all 192 member states. So they determine this representation through something called ranges. Based on your range, if you're under your range, we would invite you or your government to take this exam. The bad now, Mexico did so well a few years ago that they're not underrepresented. But that didn't mean that it would not happen in the near future with retirements or people moving to different positions. So you should be aware of this exam because it is an excellent way to begin your career at the UN. There are a few requirements. One, your government has to be invited to take the exam. If your government accepts, and you are a national of, say, Mexico, or in my case, the United States, then the other requirement is you have to be 32 years or under at the time that we offer the exam. So I know I look really young, but I would not be eligible, even if my country was invited. Then, you must have an excellent grasp of English or French, because the way it is divided up, there's a general part where you do a summary, and you can do that in either English or French, and then there's a specific topic of expertise that we test on. So for example, this year we gave the exam in December, and the expertise were law, human rights, statistics, demography, and so applicants would have to have the relevant bachelor's degree at least in one of those fields. If you have more degrees, that's fine too, but you have to be 32 years or under. You do not need work experience. That's the beauty of this exam. It really is a way for junior professionals to enter the organization. So for more information, everything we're telling you today, everything except my personal war stories, can be found, and maybe even there, you can Google, can be found on our website, www.nations not http://careers.un.org. So don't feel like if you don't get everything down, you're going to miss it. Another way to enter the organization is through language exams. How many people know how many official languages we have at the UN? 5 plus 1, 6. We have 6 official languages: English, French, Russian, Spanish, Arabic, Chinese. Am I missing any? Did I get them all? Good. We offer our language exams on an as-needed basis. There is no age limit for the language exams, okay? We are really looking for language professionals who speak 3 of the UN official languages, and we need them to be translators, editors, verbatim reporters, proofreaders, interpreters. So to qualify for the language exam, as I said, it's based on the needs of the organization. Also, you need to speak Spanish, and then be able to interpret from 2 of the other 6 official languages, so Russian into Spanish and Chinese into Spanish. We start at the P2 level, and those people who are successful passing the relevant language exam would be placed on a roster. And again, no age limit. Let me see. You would need to hold at least a first-level university degree. And for interpreters, there's some extra specific requirements of 200 hours of interpreting skills, because as you know, the UN, there's simultaneous interpretation. And as I said, you interpret from the other languages into your mother tongue. So for me, it would be from Chinese, if I spoke it, and Arabic into English. Now these are so far what we have as needs for the language exams. As you can see, and I just want to point out, there is an Associate Translation Support Officer exam coming up on the 16th of March. You should go to our website and look and see if you have the eligibility for that, but the application date is soon. It's February 2nd. Anybody in this audience speak Arabic? Okay, forget that then. Then we're also looking for French, Spanish language teachers. So there are exams being held in that as well. Now I'd like to turn it over to my colleague Mario to speak to you about other ways of entering the UN. Sure, no problem.
Buenos días, y primero quisiera decirles que es un gran placer estar de vuelta a México, lindo y querido, donde pasé 3 años de mi vida profesional. Mi primera impresión desde ayer, que muchas cosas han mejorado muchísimo. Realmente encontré un México muy diferente, una ciudad de México muy diferente. Después de pasar 3 años acá, con mi español muy pobre, así más o menos, regresé a Nueva York, todos me decían que hablaba como chilango. y después, como mencionó la licenciada Raquel, estuve en Centroamérica varios años, Nicaragua, Honduras, en El Salvador, proceso de paz, y allá aprendí otros acentos, y los puertorriqueños de Nueva York, mi esposa, que me casé después, colombiana, así que ahora nadie puede adivinar mi acento. Y cuando les digo que soy italiano, dicen, no, no puede ser. Bueno, voy ahora a empezar mi presentación en inglés. The Department of Safety and Security is a new department. It's probably the newest department in the organization at headquarters. Why is it a new department? Because you know, since the United Nations was established back in, you know, what, 60 years ago, being an employee, being a UN worker, meant that you were welcomed, meant that you were given special status, special privileges, special protections, and it was, the UN flag was a protection. So if you know, everybody in the field was wearing caps with the UN flag, emblem, and they felt protected. Things changed. In the last 10, 15 years, we've seen a major, major change. You know that the UN has become a target. You know that the UN was attacked on more than one occasion. The major one was the attack against UN installations in Baghdad, where 22 key personnel died, including the special representative, De Mello. We had another attack in Algeria, where our security advisor died, among others. This was later, once the department was established. We've had attacks against UN guest houses in Afghanistan repeatedly, with heavy attacks, suicide bombers. And so being a UN staff member is now no longer an asset in protection, but it's a liability. The UN recognized this, and in the mid-2000s, the General Assembly started thinking about the need for more standardized security management system to protect UN staff, mostly in the field, but let's not forget also at headquarters. Because look, when 9/11, you know, all the investigations about 9/11, the plans were to attack also the United Nations. UN building is a major target. So even in places like Mexico City and other locations, UN premises are vulnerable, and some protective measures have to be taken. The department was established at the end of 2004 by a GA resolution, General Assembly, came officially into effect on 1st January 2005. I joined in 2005. I was in the first year, and I'm the Senior Human Resources Officer, and I've been involved in the setup of the recruitment and administrative processes for the department. It's been 5 years. It's probably time to move on, but I'm still there. I never served in one position for 5 years, but I enjoy my work. And what I like is that although I'm in New York, I am constantly in touch with the world. Our positions are scattered in 113 countries around the world. Now, there may be some misunderstanding that safety and security, we are not there to assess governments, as it's done, for example, with other departments. Department of Economic and Social Affairs, they work with governments to assess their plans and their programs, projects. We are not there for that. Our purpose is to protect UN staff, premises, and operations. You cannot operate in places like Afghanistan, Somalia, Darfur, or whatever, many other places in the world, if you do not have security measures. And those are the places that need UN more than anybody else. You know, Sweden doesn't need the UN, you know. So we're not concerned about Scandinavian countries. We are in those countries where there's a need. There's humanitarian programs. There's a lot of peacekeeping programs. And so the department, another thing that I should mention about the department, the reason it was established is because, as Martelena mentioned, the UN is a generic, it's a UN system, let's say, is a group of many, many organizations. I think you can count 20, 25, it depends on the status of some of them that are half in, half out, but there are many, many organizations. These organizations, in most cases, have programs of their own in the field. One good example is the World Food Program. The World Food Program is based in Rome, my country. But that's just their hub. They operate in all countries around the world where there's famine, there's emergency, there are emergency needs. They had some security concerns, so they had their security personnel. They worked independently from the security personnel of UNDP or of UNICEF, and the General Assembly, they said, we need one integrated security management system so that it works together. You know the term synergy of, we need to put all our assets together. So our department has two sources of funding. One is regular UN. UN, for example, when you come to New York or when you go to ECLA, well, I'm not sure here I think it's contractual, but you see uniformed personnel, UN personnel, they're security guards, locally recruited, that protect the offices, that make sure that your identification, go through the screening and all that. Those, because those are headquarter duty, secretariat locations, those are paid fully by the secretariat. However, there's a very large portion, I would say about 50% more, is cost shared. It's called jointly funded activities. That means that the General Assembly gives us so many millions of dollars a year to spend, but that the different organizations, WFP, WHO, UNICEF, UNDP, and even the World Bank and others, they contribute into this budget. In other words, they have a certain portion, just like member states have a portion to the UN budget based on their national population and wealth. The same for those organizations. WFP, we do a head count, how many staff they have, and they pay the proper portion that corresponds to them. So that is a very, very important aspect of our work. The total number of staff altogether is in DSS itself, the UN Department of Safety and Security, is 2,000 people now. We have 2,000 people. Before 2005, there was an UNSECORD. It was a small office of the United Nations Security Coordinator. It was made up of about 25 people. That is now grown into a major, major department. Most of our people are not in New York, they are in the field. And we have, as you may know, a security advisor even in Mexico now. Is permanently stationed here. And those of you who will join me in the next group for the security part will get a chance to meet him, but he's stationed here. As with all other positions in the organization, we need to have people that are not only qualified in terms of their professional skills, they have to have, not everybody is a security expert, they have to have their preparations, their experience, but they must have languages, because we cannot accept candidates for international posts that do not have English, for example. Why? Because we rotate our staff. If today Santiago, our security advisor, is here, formerly was in South America, he speaks Spanish, he can work perfectly well here, but he has to make reports to New York, mostly in English, so needs the English. In a couple of years, we may decide to assign him to Kenya. We might assign him to Afghanistan, Pakistan. He needs English. So it is very, very important. If any of you want to join in the security occupational group, you must have English.
The moment you've been waiting for, this is really what I can tell you that's going to be important and that's not necessarily on the website. How do you apply? How do you make your application stand out? We're going to go through that in a little bit more detail, but this is the website. At this website, you will find every single thing that we've been talking about today in greater detail. You will also find profiles of about 150 staff, and you can read those and see the many different career paths we've all taken, because not one among us has a similar career path. As I said, on the top of this website, you can see They talk about how you apply, what your career options would be. I'm reading this backwards, but what you could do at the UN, why you would want to work at the UN. And specifically, under what are my career options, you could see any of the things we've talked about today, the internship program, the national competitive exam. You can click on that. There will be the relevant link. So I really want to point that out for you. So if you forget something or you fall asleep during part of this, it's not a total loss. Then you can also sign up and fill in your name and get job alerts, which is something for, say, for me, I want to find out about all the legal jobs in Paris at my level. So every time one or two comes up, they will send me the job alert. But my favorite thing to do when I'm sitting at my desk is to do this search. And you see on the homepage of careers.un.org, you can put in the category of job you're looking for, the level, the network, the department, where you want to work. So if I want to work in Paris or New York or anywhere, I can put that in. And then I click it, and it's going to show me my search results. Yeah. Okay. I can't even see this because I'm not wearing my glasses. But basically, you see on the left-hand side the job titles, the level. So D1 is director's level. So you would need at least 15 years experience. And when Marta was going over the levels of experience, I want to highlight that that's the minimum. So if you say, well, I have 7 years experience, that doesn't mean you shouldn't apply for P3s, because 5 years for a P3, that's the minimum. So we get people with 10 years even applying for those kind of jobs. So don't narrow yourself by thinking, well, I'm so overqualified, or I have so much more experience. Apply for what the job application requires. Now, how do you know what the job application requires? We'll say for this job, the Information Management Officer, P3, and that's in Geneva. So who has IT skills here? Anybody, any information management people, IT? No, all right, well. So none of us would get that job, but you would click on, they would tell you exactly what the requirements were for that job. Then you would do your application, and you can do your application. In fact, the only way you can do your application is online. Now, we all work at the UN because we want to do something bigger than ourselves, and we want peace, and we love working with people from different nationalities from all over the world. But I have to tell you that we have very competitive salaries. We have excellent leave, especially as an American, where I come from a country where you get 2 weeks annual vacation. At the UN, we get approximately, with everything said and done, 2 months annual vacation. Now, I'm not saying we can always take it all, but we do get that. If you're hired as an international, so if you're hired from Mexico to go work in Geneva, you will get home leave, which means every 2 years, the organization will pay for you to come back to Mexico to see your family. You will also get education subsidy or grant for your children studying in Geneva. We'll also move your whole family there and all the stuff. So for me, for example, I'm an American, actually a New Yorker, I work in New York, so I don't get those specific benefits. But if I go and work in Geneva, I would get that. We also have an excellent pension plan, health insurance. I mean, the benefits are good. That should not in any way be a worry. Then we have interesting career paths. I mean, you've heard a bit about my career path, Mario's career path, Marta's career path. We've heard a little bit about Olga's. as well. I mean, you can come into the organization and you can move very vertically, as my boss Marta did. I mean, she's already a D2. Or you could do what I did and move really laterally. I've worked in logistics. I've worked in Office of Legal Affairs. I've designed my career that I get changes a lot, and I move around and work with different departments. I've worked in Haiti, Rwanda. So I'm less concerned with, not that anyone's giving me a promotion, but with moving up than with having different types of experiences. We have mentoring programs. We have great training. You can also move organizationally. Marta moved from UNDP and UNICEF to the Secretariat. These are also interesting experiences that you can have in this organization that I would say are unique to working in the international arena. One thing that is universal, I would say, across all our organizations, and we will be talking about this in a little bit more detail, is what we're talking about as the core values and competencies. So even though we're diverse and we have different cultures and backgrounds and religions, the core values that we all share and that we must share to work not just for the Secretariat, but I would say in the common system, are integrity, professionalism, and respect for diversity. And that goes across the board, no matter what your job, where you are. Then there are certain core competencies, and this is what we're going to go over a little later with you. And I think these are pretty important in this modern day in any job, but we particularly rely on them in the United Nations. And these are communication skills, ability to work as part of teams, an ability to plan and organize your work. I mean, you may think you have a great plan and you're all set, and then 20 people come at you with 20 other things that are more important, and they're all your bosses, and you have to reconnect, or you're in the field and you planned your day and then you get a flat tire and you have to recalibrate how you're going to go about getting your tasks done. Accountability, creativity, and ability to think outside of the box is really important because, as I said, we're working sometimes with limited resources. We're facing problems or challenges that don't necessarily have pat solutions. Technological awareness for all you IT Y generation people out there, that is so key right now. If you have good IT, technological web design skills, almost every office needs and wants you. So if you have that on top of your substantive specialty, you really will be in demand. So at this point, I'd like to turn it back over to Marta.
Okay, thank you, Lynn. Is everyone awake? I'm starting to see some faces here. Are you all awake? You promise me? Yes, who's not awake? Look next door. Are you okay? Are we speaking too much information? You're okay? All right. So in summary, what we want is people first with integrity. Are we okay with that? Okay, good. We need people that are adaptable, that are dynamic, as you can see as we move a lot around here, that are flexible, that are responsive, and finally, that they really treasure and want the values of the UN. So that for us is extremely important. So is any one of you not that person? I know there's some people here that are not interested in applying, but are interested for other reasons. They have students, they have colleagues and everything. So that is the type of profile that we are looking for. But what I want to be very clear, not everyone can work for the UN. And it doesn't matter. They can influence the work of the UN in different ways. Volunteering, contributing to society, contributing to your government. So it's not the only way of contributing and making the difference on the world. So while Giovanni starts preparing the next video, I'm going to hand it over to Olga. Olga comes from one of the organization of the whole UN system, and this is UNFPA. There are different organizations, as you have already know. I started with the World Food Program, then I moved to UNICEF, then I moved to UNDP. I will not be in my position now if I had not taken the risks of moving around, of doing different things, of not staying in the same place every time. Would I do it again? I would do it exactly again, with all its challenges, with all its pros and cons, but it has been a wonderful experience. Equally, Mario, if he had not moved around, if he had not had different experience, he would not be where he is today. And the same with Olga and Len. So one of the critical things is to be ready to do different things at any point in time. So I have the pleasure of introducing you to Olga. As I said earlier, Olga, we just met her yesterday. So it is funny that sometimes this is what we do. So over to you, Olga. Olga is going to do two things, a short video, and then a very short presentation, and then we are going to start the fun work.
Good morning, buenos días. Quiero decirles que estoy muy contenta como mexicana de ver a muchos mexicanos interesados en ingresar al sistema de Naciones Unidas. Yo tengo 19 años de trabajar en un puesto local aquí en México, en el Fondo de Población de las Naciones Unidas, y puedo decirles que han sido 19 años muy buenos. Yo no he cambiado tanto de puesto, pero mi puesto cambia todos los días, así que, y además estoy muy orgullosa de trabajar para una organización que contribuye al bienestar de la población, como podrán ver en este pequeño video.
Wanted and are educated a world in which population growth is balanced against the resources in life. But we also have a plan.
In 1994, at Cairo, agreed on a 20-year blueprint for sustained human progress. The Cairo Consensus asserts that addressing population challenges depends on women's empowerment, access to reproductive health care and education, and the protection of human rights.
People. It's about you, it's about me, it's about every single person in the room here. It's a human right that people can have the right to education, right to health, to have a very dignified life.
And men and their ability to freely decide the size of their families and the shape of their futures are at the center of the plan agreed on at Cairo.
With experience in putting with progress, people are having smaller, healthier families. They are living more full, enjoying the economic benefits of slower population growth. More than 30 countries have instituted policy changes to recognize reproductive rights.
But progress is uneven and in some cases slipping backwards. Half of the world's people still live in poverty. HIV/AIDS is robbing communities of their most productive members and leaving children to survive on their own. Every women are subjected to violence and discrimination. Too many people face serious challenges without the support and information they need to make good choices.
We, PA, the Population Fund, we lead action on population and development in nearly 100 countries. Founded in 1969, we work with governments to support reproductive health, women, and sound policies. We effectiveness through partnerships with civil society, other international organizations, and the private sector. We address their population problems and men opportunities to build better lives.
To ensure that really to women at the most disadvantaged and poor areas of the world.
Espero que les haya gustado el video. Muestra un poco del trabajo que hace el Fondo de Población. And now I am going to start my presentation in English. Okay. And the clicker. These are the main working areas of UNFPA: population and development, sexual and reproductive health, reproductive rights, gender-based violence and gender equality, demography, youth, and HIV/AIDS. As you may notice, these are, in many cases, are similar to those of the Millennium Development Goals. So we are working on those. We are nearly 2,000 staff members worldwide. Many of them are located in headquarters, New York. However, we have also regional and sub-regional offices. Sure. Do you hear? Can you hear me better? Okay. Okay, and we are also in 140 countries. One of those is Mexico. In each field office, we work with the governments to make a better life for men and women. And we have international and local staff. The international posts are nearly 600 members. And we are one of those agencies in the UN that have a very good balance of gender. Martha was saying the other day, you are one of those few agencies that have reached that goal. We are proud of that because it's better to have a balanced world, even in the working area. Okay. Here are the locations of the headquarters, which is in New York, the regional and sub-regional offices, and also some of the other field offices. Okay. These are the professional profiles that we are looking in UNFPA. As our mandate goes to population and development and reproductive health, we need people who had advanced degrees in population or development, public health, reproductive health, demography. You know the round of census that is taking place now in all over the world. Well, UNFPA is behind the curtains of those round of census, so demographers, we are looking for them. Economy, sociology, gender, and IBS. But of course, in order to run all the technical assistance to the countries, we need to run operations. And for those, we also need people that have degrees in accounting and finance, security, as Mario said before, human resources, IT, data is important, so we are looking also for IT profiles, audit, procurement, communications, and of course, management. As in the case of the UN system, which was given by Martha and Lynn, we are looking for the most common posts, international. These are international posts, which are higher at headquarters. We need representatives. They make the managerial and the technical part in each of the field offices. They represent UNFPA in the 140 countries. So we need somebody, we need them to have at least 10 to 15 years of experience and an advanced degree in a study which is related to UNFPA's mandate. Deputy representatives, you need to have 7 to 10 years of experience. Program specialists, you need to have also 7 to 10 years of experience. Technical experts, starting 5 years of experience, and international operations managers. These are all professional posts. However, in Mexico, we also have local posts. We are a very, country offices are small offices, so we don't have a large number of posts. But however, from time to time, we need somebody who can work for either a program or a project, or who can replace somebody that is retiring, or a new job that is coming up. You can look for employment opportunities for UNFPA in our websites. The first one is the one that is in headquarters. We advertise all the professionals in unfpa.org, and in unfpa.org.mex, you can find the ones that we here in Mexico City are advertising from time to time. Now, for example, we are looking for a finance and program associate, and it's a good start. Even though it's not an international post, you can start your career starting in that point. Okay, thank you. I hope you come to be near a Mexican one that is working for the UN system, and you don't feel it like it's something so far away from you. No, you can either work for your country here in a UN system agency, or you can go and look for a job out of Mexico.
Okay. Now, I just want to remind you that we have in the UN Common System over 30 agency funds and programs. Now, Marta, Mario, and I are representing the Secretariat today. Olga is representing UNFPA. But there are about 28 other UN agencies, funds, or programs that need people with your skills and background. So when you're applying, don't just limit your search, okay, to 1 or 2 organizations, or don't just tell your students about the UN, because unfortunately we all have, as you see, Olga has a different website than the UN Secretariat, and UNDP has a different website, as does UNHCR. But we are kind of all looking for similar types of people with the flexibility and motivation and willingness to serve. So right now, I'm going to focus primarily on how you can do a good application. And the good news is, this is not just for the UN. This is how you can do a good application to make yourself stand out and be more competitive worldwide in anything you do. But of course, this is specific to the UN, but keep what I'm saying and the general points in mind when you apply anywhere. Okay, our recruitment platform is called Inspira. You can get to that from the one site that I've been telling you about all day, and that's http://careers.un.org. So say you do a search and you find a P3 position that is perfect for you. Then you're going to have to register and do some IT stuff to get your application online. Now, let me tell you something. I am IT illiterate. I'm like the worst person. I didn't even know how to turn my iPod on yesterday, but I did my application in the system. So if I can do it, really, anybody can do it. But what you need to do is be very careful, proofread, take your time, not rush through it, because this is how people are going to see you. This is your first impression in the organization, and you are competing with people from all over the world. So every job, not to scare you, has about 500 to 1,000 people applying. So how do you make yourself stand out? You want to take time, you want to do a good job, and you want to follow some of the tips I'm going to give you. Before you begin even your application, you want to understand the job you're applying for, the organization you're applying for, be it the United Nations headquarters, be it UNFPA, be it UNDP, be it Google, IBM. And the good news is it's very easy to understand because you go on the web and you start reading a little bit about it. And for us specifically, I showed you how you can start looking at different jobs, right, on the search. So you want to read some of those and see how we write our vacancy announcements so that when you apply, you can use similar language. You could speak UN speak, because believe it or not, it is another language. Just like if I applied to Google or some private company, I would need to understand, well, how do they talk? How do they communicate? So before you even apply for a job, spend some time learning about the organization. Then, when you actually do apply for a job, make sure you're willing, ready, able to go for that job. Because if we call you and say, you know, we'd like you to come work in Afghanistan or come work in Santiago, and then you're like, well, I don't know, not so good. Okay, so know what you're applying for, and then apply for as many jobs that you're qualified for. In our applications, it's not going to be a guessing game as to what we want. We want to know specifically a description of what you've done in the past. We also want to know what you've achieved. So there's a distinction between what your duties are, conducting outreach for the United Nations, involves traveling, presentations. That's my duties. Then my achievements is, managed to convince, 200 students from Mexico to apply for the national competitive exam, and out of them 180 were successful. That would be a great achievement for me if we could mark it. But so you see, there's a distinction between what your duties are, researching, and what you've achieved. And we want to know about that. And look, some of you are young and may not have achieved huge things. That's okay. We want to know within the scope of your duties, what did you do within a short period of time, organized a conference, coordinated the speakers, whatever it is. Your current job obviously is in the present tense. All other jobs in the past that you had are in the past tense. Summary of achievements, I went over. The difference between what you do day to day and what you achieve. Now, I don't have to tell you this. Be honest. There's a difference between framing what you do and how you do it to the job requirements and totally inventing something. I am all for framing and refashioning, depending if I apply for a logistics job as a lawyer, I'm going to highlight different skills than if I'm going to apply to be a human resource officer as a lawyer. But I can reframe my experience, but I'm not making anything up. I know I don't have to say that to any of you here, but I just want to remind you. Cover letter. all of our applications have an opportunity for you to tell the recruiter why you over everybody else in this room, why you over everybody else applying for it. Now, I'm not saying this to make you nervous, but this is really important because most of what we're looking for is an ability to think and write clearly and express yourself and to be succinct. This is where the looking at the job profiles can help you, because then you take the language of what the UN as a whole is looking for, and then you take your specific experience and meld the two. It doesn't have to be, and it shouldn't be a biography, because people will spend 5 to 10 seconds on it, not just in the UN, but worldwide. And also, if you're applying for the logistics job, you should not send the cover letter to be the security analyst. You need to highlight and focus your cover letter to the specific job that you're applying to. First of all, it shows us, wow, they really took the time. As opposed to if I'm recruiting for a human resources officer and I get, well, I have excellent security and this, that, then I'm thinking they don't even know what job they're applying for, and it already shows a level of carelessness. So you want to take the time, and you want to have like a few cover letters, like this is my lawyer cover letter, this is my human resources cover letter, this is my, well, I wouldn't have an IT cover letter, but if you have that type of thing. Obviously, I don't really have to tell you how to draft a cover letter, but if you don't know or you want experience, there's nothing wrong with buying a book, looking at models. I suggest you do it. I had already been a lawyer and had a master's and bought a book on networking because I didn't know how to leave a voice message like, well, this is Lynn Goldberg, and so I bought a book. Buy a book. As we said, this is your first contact with us, so it's important that you proofread. If you're doing it in English and that's not your mother tongue, have 2 or 3 other people look at it, because sometimes it's hard to see. As we say, be truthful, be accurate, be clear, and that's pretty much it.
And there I come in. So the last presentation, Giovanni, so this is the last one. So just a few more minutes, all right? So first of all, if you're interested, you apply. And you have to invest time in that's your entry point for the UN, for UNFPA, for any organization, and for the outside world. Take time in your application. Let's hope you're successful, and we call you for an interview. This is what I'm going to cover. The competency-based interview. In the UN system, UNFPA, WHO, UNDP, UNICEF, the UN Secretariat, we do interviews based on a competency-based interviews. You're going to have the presentation in Spanish for technical reasons, but I'm going to deliver it in English. And by the way, all the presentations are going to be in the website of the Ministry of Foreign Affairs. So if you have missed anything, don't worry. I'm not going to test you. So why do we have competency-based interviews? Because for us and for many companies outside, we believe that the public is the best predictor for the future. Are you with me? Okay, you have passed the stage, you applied. And then the 4 of us, we decided to interview all of you. All right, so now you have this stage. Oh. Okay, so what do we look for? We look for values and competencies. Values are your principles, are your beliefs, and that's what we want to look for you in the competency-based interview. And then in the competencies are your attributes, your competencies, your skills, and that's what we look for the competencies. As you can see, we look for people that have the technical expertise, either security, HR, or IT, but we also need to know how you behave, how you do things. That is important for us. As Lynn indicated, we do the vacancy announcements, taking into consideration values and competencies. And the same thing we do in the interviews, values and competencies. And when we join the organization and we perform, our performance evaluation is based on values and competencies. So we look for everyone, integrity, professionalism, the values. And then in the competencies, we have competencies for everyone, and we have competencies for the managers. So for everyone, we need people that have client orientation, teamwork, good planning skills. And in the case of the managerial and the higher level positions, we have the managerial competencies like vision, leadership. Those are some of the ones that we are looking for. I'm not going to describe them all. Already did that. As I said before, the reason why we are looking for you and why we do these interviews in this manner is because we want to see how you did things in the past, see you how you would do things in the future. We are using this model because it has proven that it gives us a good success rate. When we evaluate candidates, we use different tools. First of all is your application. Your application is the first way of indicating to us what is your professional skills and competence. We can do you a written assessment, but the interview is key in order for us to finally determine whether we want you to join us or not to join us. As Lynn indicating, preparing your application is extremely important. If you have done it well, I think I'll use the other one. If you have done it well and we call you for an interview, that's the first stage. So when we call you for an interview, I have the syndrome of the 3 Ps. Mario, prepare, and Olga, prepare. You have to prepare for your interview. You will be surprised how unfortunate it is when we interview people, we know they are good, but they do a bad interview because they have not prepared. If you do an interview for a position with Lynn, don't think that you do not have to prepare for the position of Mario. You need to prepare for an interview. So please, if there's 3 things I want you to get out of here, is that if you are ever called for an interview with us or with anyone else, please prepare, prepare, and prepare. So what do you need to prepare? First of all, if we call you for an interview, be flexible regarding the date of the interview and where the interview would be. Try to know as much as you can of the job and the company. Do everything possible to prepare and know whether the interview is going to be in person or on the phone. So here I ask the question, who likes interview in person? Who doesn't like interviews in person? Good. Who likes interviews on phone? Come on, I want to see those hands up. Who likes interviews on phone? Okay. Here, I don't want you to be scared of interviews on phone. Both have their advantages and disadvantages. There are advantages in being face-to-face, but there are also a lot of advantages in being on the phone. First of all, for the face-to-face, I am going to interview, let's say, Lynn. She has to prepare, she has to look pretty, and come to the office. I'm going to interview Mario on the phone. He can select the place. Lynn cannot select the place. I determine the place. It's going to be in my office. an environment she does not know. She doesn't know if the office is green, has lights. She doesn't know where the interview is going to be. With Mario, I phone him. I just need a number. He defines where it is. It can be in the office, it can be at home, it can be in the kitchen, it can be anywhere. He defines the environment. He knows that environment. Second, Lynn has to dress properly for an interview. Mario can decide that he wants to do it at home. He can do it in the pajamas. I'm not going to worry. Is that okay? All right. Face to face, I'm seeing you, and obviously I'll see a lot of your gestures, whether you're smiling or not smiling. The telephone interview, don't think I'm not going to notice. In the telephone interview, we will notice on the tone of your voice, even if you're smiling. So please, even in a telephone interview, just smile. By smiling, your tone of voice is different. So be careful on it. In a face-to-face interview, you cannot take any papers normally. You can take a pad and everything. In a phone interview, you can have a big desk and have all the papers you want. I am not going to see that. However, I will notice whether you're reading. Your tone of voice when you're reading is different than when you're speaking and you're thinking. So be careful also. So there's pros and cons. So who is still afraid of telephone interviews? I have less people now. Who is still afraid of telephone interviews? You're not afraid? Okay. This is the majority, the first interview normally, and the majority of the interviews in the UN are phone to phone. Sometimes we also do it by video conference and Skype, but it's not always the case. So we have to be very honest with you, and that's why we want you to prepare. You can prepare with a friend. You can phone a friend and just prepare. But that is the way we do the interview. But the principles will be the same. Okay. So prepare for the position. Look at what you put in your application. Some people forget and go to the interview and they forget that their application, they put that they like green. And we ask them, what is the favorite color? That's not a question. And they say blue. So they didn't apply and they didn't prepare for the application. And prepare for the interview. If it's face-to-face, go to a mirror. Ask a friend to listen to you and see you. If it's on the phone, have it also on the phone. All right, so prepare, and prepare. The competency-based interview is based normally on questions on how you have done similar things on the past. And it's based on the CAR principle. We want you to give us the context of a situation. Tell us about a time that you work in a successful team. What was the context? And then we want you to explain the main actions, the main events. I did this, this, and this. And at the end, we want you to indicate to us what was the result, what was the impact. And finally, what did you learn? Will you do things differently? Is that clear? I'll do it again. Any interview will ask you a question on planning, teamwork, client orientation, doesn't matter. We will always want you to give us the context, the main events, the result. Were you successful? Were you not successful? And even if you were not successful, it's okay. We want you to tell us, I was not successful for this and this reason. I will do it differently next time. And finally, the lessons you learned. We will also ask you, what was your role? You can be in a team as a leader. You can be in a team as a member. Is it clear? Yes? Please do avoid some of these areas during the interview. Please do not be hypothetical. When you're describing the situation, try to avoid we. What we want you is how you did things, not how the team did it. I am interested in you, not on the team. So if I'm asking about the team, I want to know exactly what was your role, how you did it, what you learned, not what the team did. Avoid interrupting the panel. You can ask questions, but wait for the time in being interrupted. And leave the questions on conditions of service, pay, salary to the end. You will have time for that, but not during the time we are asking for the competency-based questions. The positive sides, be careful on giving a good impression. If it's on the phone, smile also. And also if you are face-to-face. Be clear and precise. In order to be clear and precise, that is the reason why we recommend you to practice, practice, and practice. Know where you're going to be and what is the context of the job. And if you do not understand a question, ask again. The interviewers they are not there to say no to you. We want you to succeed. Okay, so now comes the fun part. Lights on.
Martelena, if you would just allow me a moment to make an announcement in Spanish. Si alguna de las personas que están siguiendo la transmisión vía internet desean hacer alguna pregunta, por favor diríjense al correo electrónico participacionsocial@sre.gov.mx. Gracias.
Okay. So, I am going to need 4 volunteers. Who wants to be a volunteer here? Hands up, hands up, hands up. I want volunteers. I want volunteers. Okay, I have the privilege of our master of ceremony. She's going to choose 4 volunteers. So please catch her attention.
Excellent.
Oh, wait
okay,
one second. Wait a second. I
room.
want you. Wait, she's not starting yet. Who wants to volunteer? Where are my volunteers here?
It's harmless.
Keep your
it's
hand
harmless.
up.
It's going to be a good experience.
All right. So Raquel, I want you. This is your instruction. From this group, choose one. Okay. I don't know what is your parameters. Choose one person from this group.
Well, I'm going to choose the confident one who was the first one to raise his hand right over here. Please come to the stage. Excellent. Thank you.
Bravo.
Bravo. Yes, for being courageous.
Can you stand? Just stand here in front. 1 second. Okay. Now I need another volunteer. 1, 2, 3, 4. From here, from the fourth line over to here. One volunteer. Keep your hands up.
Hands up. Wonderful, wonderful. Okay, right here, please. Thank you. Join us at the stage.
Good. Brave lady. Okay, so Raquel, I think you better come here so I can watch them to see who is making their case. So make your case from here onward. No, this part. I need one more volunteer from this part. Are you sure you're the only ones? Okay, choose one.
Okay, this one right in front. He seems to be.
Okay, and then one final one from this group.
All right.
Volunteers, volunteers.
Wonderful, wonderful. Thank you. I'm sorry, I'm going to go for way in the back. Please come up to the stage. Thank you.
Okay, so I'm going to introduce them. So please, could you give us your name and what you do in less than 1 minute?
Okay, my name is Juan Asensio. Right now I'm doing an internship here in the Mexican Foreign Affairs Ministry.
Good. Your name?
Thank you. My name is Junuen Castellanos. I work in an NGO for communitarian development in the gender equality issues.
Good. Now, your name and what you do.
Thank you. My name is Jerónimo Martinez, and I work for a cooperative society that works mostly in the field of consulting business.
Good.
Hello, everybody. My name is America Larkion, and I'm working as consultant in Accenture here in Mexico City.
Okay, so a big applause for them. So this is what we are going to do. We are going to do an exercise like a telephone interview. And there we are going to ask them different questions, okay? We want you to learn. If they do a good job, great. If they do a job that they need to work on, even greater. I want you to learn what you should not do in an interview. Are you okay with it? Do you think they're brave people? Okay, so can you sit? You cannot see the audience, we cannot see you. So can you sit down? Okay, so are we ready? Yes? So let me bring Mario, Lynn, and, oh no, Mario, Lynn, they are going to be here. And we are not going to be watching them. Is that okay? All right? Are you here? Okay. You can use examples or any work experience. If you have no work experience, you can use examples from when you were in university or other sports or anything. Is that okay? All right. So I'm going to start. Lynn then will go with the second candidate, Mario with the third one, and Olga will take the fourth one. So 1, are you ready?
Yes.
Okay, so I am in New York. Ring, 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 ring.
Hello?
Hello, 1, are you there?
Yes, I'm here.
Good. Is the connection good?
Yes, it's fine. Thank you.
All right. I'm here in New York, and we are going to do an interview panel. You're being considered for a post in New York.
Oh, that's great. Thank you.
Good. All right. And with me, we have 3 other interview panel members. I have Lynn Goldenberg, Mario Chanchi, and Olga. Olga is not here in New York. She's in Mexico, but she is also on the phone. Is
Okay.
it clear for you?
Yes, so everybody's going to listen to me?
Yes.
Okay, yes.
All right. So are you ready to start? Do you have any questions?
No, we can start the interview.
Okay. So I am going to handle teamwork.
Teamwork.
Teamwork. I want you to give me an example when you worked in a team
Yes.
and the team was successful.
Yes, well, teamwork...
Wait.
Oh,
Okay. Is it clear? An example when the team was successful. I want you to give me the situation. What was your role? What were the main events? What was the result? And what did you learn? I'll repeat it. I want you to choose an example when you worked in a team and the team was successful. Give me the situation. What was your role? What were the major events? What were the results? And what did you learn? Are you okay, 1? Did you understand?
yes, I understood.
Okay, over to you.
Well, I'm going to take up one situation that I enjoy very much by working in teams was here in the Foreign Affairs Ministry in Mexico while doing my internship. We were preparing the state visit of President Calderon to the United States of America. So I was a member of the team in the United States direction, in North America General Direction. We were making the agenda, we were preparing the topics that we're going to discuss, we were preparing the information the president needed in order to address the issues they were discussing. So my role was being information assistant in that team. I had to work with all the team to gather the information the president was going to need. We have to write some documents. We have to prepare the personal information about the people he was going to meet in the United States. I was in charge in assisting one of the people that work in that department. We have to prepare the interviews the President Calderon was going to have in the United States television. I was in charge of gathering the information of a TV show which is called The Situation Room in CNN. So I have to read the transcripts of that show in order to know what has been said about Mexico, what has been said about President Calderon and his job in that particular TV show. It was going to be a very important interview because it's one of the most respected TV shows in the United States and it's seen all over the world. So I have to provide the information of what was the trend that they had about Mexico, because President Calderon had to be prepared in order to address those issues, those topics in a proper way. The most important moments were when nobody have a clue about it. It was very difficult to have access to the transcripts of the TV show. So I have to find it out in the CNN website, in the internet, and I have to read all the transcripts of the show. It was a titanic work. I enjoyed it a lot. I read all, and I just started to select those parts of the information that were related to Mexico. In the end, we could prepare all the document that he needed in order to go to that show. The boss, the people in charge of the team, the person in charge of the team was pleased with the results because we could finally have the information, we could finally have the trend that he was going to have in that show. And in the end, I think the interview was successful. All the direction here in the foreign ministry was happy with the results. The state visit of President Calderon to the United States was very good. It has good results. So the team was very proud of what we did. I can tell that that's one of the teamwork experiences I have enjoyed the most. It was all about finding many sources of information, that not getting despair, and believing that we could make it happen, that we could make it possible. So to give the best of me in order to read the whole information I had to read, not being afraid of doing it, and asking questions to my boss of what I have to do, how to prepare the document, and in the end, the teamwork experience was really good. I learned a lot, and I have enjoyed being here in the foreign ministry.
What would you do differently? If I had the magic way of putting you back again, what would you do differently?
Well, I think that one thing I could do differently will be getting more people involved, like more communication in the team. I was in charge of that task, but of course I could have asked more help to my teammates, or maybe ask for more directions to my boss. I think it was an experience we all enjoyed. I could really say that it was a successful teamwork. I enjoyed it a lot.
Okay, that's great. So, applause. Okay, so did everyone understand the situation? Who did not understand the situation? Was it clear the major events? Yes, it was clear, but at the end, he repeated them. Did you notice he was getting a bit nervous? So be careful. When you explain the events and then go on. Was it clear the results? Were the results clear? He could have done better? Yes. So Be careful on the results. It doesn't matter whether they are positive or negative or they're neutral. It doesn't matter. But you have to be clear on the results. I have a budget of $100,000. I exceeded the $100,000. I was able to save money. So be very careful on the results. Did he learn? Yes? He learned? All right. Okay, so now one question here, and then we have some people on webcast. I think we have 4 questions, and Raquel is going to do us the favor. So only one person from here, that was easy.
Hi, I have a question regarding internships. Is there a way to obtain a job after doing an internship, like immediately, or do you have to go back to your country and then apply for a different job?
Okay, the question was, can you get a job immediately after an internship? The issue is, this is governed by the member states. The short answer is no. Once you do an internship, there's a 6-month period that you have to wait before you apply for a regular position. So if you finish your internship September, you have to wait exactly 6 months before you can apply for a position. And the reason is because the member states, they made this rule, they don't want people coming in through the back door. But that said is, because you've done your internship, you're going to understand much better than someone who doesn't how the system works, and that is a bit of an edge.
Okay, great. So now we're going to have the 4 questions from the webcast. Raquel?
Okay, a 5th one came in as well, but the first one is, muchas gracias por poner al alcance de todos que estamos interesados esta transmisión. ¿Será posible que nos faciliten la presentación del evento, así como forma de volverlo a ver? Y esta responde que al ratito iba a ser el anuncio, que tenemos la grabación del seminario que vamos a ofrecer en CDs y pueden pasar al área de registro cuando termine el seminario para registrarse y les enviamos este CD. En respuesta a eso, Gabriela Rodríguez, ¿dónde puedo encontrar publicaciones de las vacantes de trabajo para las agencias de Naciones Unidas? He buscado, pero solo encuentro las de rango P. Tengo entendido que las bolsas de trabajo internacionales no publican las vacantes de Staff General y eso depende de la agencia. Bueno, en respuesta tenemos un portal donde publicamos vacantes de todos los organismos internacionales, es www.sre.gov.mx/vacantes y sí, desafortunadamente no publicamos el Staff General, solamente profesionales para arriba. Siguiente, Mariana, en caso de no tener experiencia laboral previo mandando solicitudes para P2, ¿cómo se puede contestar apropiadamente las preguntas en entrevistas para competencias sin ser hipotéticos? So I think this is more in terms of not having as much experience previous to that. I'll go to the next 2 questions if you'd like to answer them as well. Rubén Serrano, ¿podrían repetir por favor el correo electrónico que proporcionó el señor Mario Cianci? Cuando se expusieron las posibilidades sobre idiomas, se pasó por alto la información sobre lengua árabe. ¿Podrían por favor compartir algunos detalles al respecto? Y la última es Arturo Rojas. Hello, could you please repeat the dates for the exams mentioned on translators and interpreters coming up, as well as the site where I can find this information?
Okay, I think in general, where you have the website uncareers.org, there you have all the information on when are the exams for the language, all right? So there is in the center, you will see language examinations, you click there and you have everything on the language. How to prepare, when are the exams going to take place, what are the minimum requirements, what are the languages that are required? What are the different fields? So all the information is there in uncareers.org. Regarding DSS, the positions are there, but there is a separate website more dedicated to security, and that is?
Yes, I mentioned the DSS website, which is dss.un.org, and it covers many areas. It's the portal. There's employment opportunities, that's where to go. But I also mentioned an email address, maybe that's what the caller was referring to. The email address is undssjobs, altogether, @un.org. This is to send an application for somebody with a security background that wants to be considered for future placements, because we work through a roster. So we will accept and review those applications.
Okay, let's do
And
one.
the Arabic one, was it just for security or for all?
No, the Arabic, all the information on the Arabic exam is on the website. So at this point in time, what we are going to have this year is Arabic language examinations that we will discuss in the separate group that will be taking care at 12 o'clock. Any other questions on this side? There's a lady here.
So if I understand, you have different vacancies for different professionals with either 5 to 20 years of experience in their fields, and can about health professionals like physicians or dentists, do they have to present exams in other countries to be doctors or nurses?
Okay. In the UN Secretariat, we do require certain fields, like for example, medical doctors. We do require those individuals to be registered and be able to function in their specific country. So therefore, you have to be legally able to function in your specific country. By joining the UN as an international organization, we will recognize that, and as part of the treaty of the Convention of Privileges of Immunities, you will be covered. But we do need you to be duly registered with all the requirements that your government requires at that point in time. More for dentists and medical doctors is WHO, that is the main organization, but we do need in other areas, and we also need volunteers. So if that, I think, gives you just one question from this side. Raquel, you have a lot of... Okay, I'll give you at the end a comment. 1 second.
Thank you. I took a test for the P4 position, but I haven't got a response from the UN. So,
okay, let's do one thing. That's bilateral. That's an individual case. When we finish, you give us the information and we'll cover. Okay, let me give you.
I'm just wondering whether any of you could say something about how to apply and what it is the UN volunteers. I think it's an important aspect and an important opportunity for young people. It's a service somebody can do for a certain number of years, and I thought it would be important to cover it.
I'm actually glad you brought that up. UN Volunteers is a way for people 25 or over, so you can be 25 to 70 with minimum 2 years experience, can work side by side with UN staff in the field. Now, this is not run from the Secretariat, this program. It's run from UN volunteers in Bonn. And the beauty about this age is you can just Google UN Volunteers Bonn and it will bring you to the website. And unlike the name, it's not, you get a stipend. You're not working for free. But you will be working in a field-based location. So you get experience to build your CVs because they may not require as much experience as, say, a professional post with the UN. So many people start their careers that way, and you work side by side with UN staff in peacekeeping, with UN staff, country teams in UNDP, or any field-based area. So I suggest that you go to UNV Bonn and United Nations Volunteers, that's what it stands for, and look at what the requirements are. Generally, it's 2 to 5 years, so 2 is a little less, and you have to have at least 25 years of age and give a 2-year commitment. Otherwise, we would all steal them. So that's UNV Bonn.
Okay, one final question from this, because I know I had no volunteers from here. So, okay, this gentleman over here.
Well, my name is José Antonio García Ortega from the Benemérita Universidad Autónoma de Puebla, and I have 2 questions. One is, when I present myself as a candidate to the United Nations, Am I competing with someone else, for example, in the world, or is there a priority to the jobs, for example, by region, by country, by city maybe? How does that work? And another question is what's the common mistake or maybe failures that candidates have and they can't stay, why they can't stay in the United Nations? That's basically my questions.
Okay, first of all, when you apply as an individual, all right? We want to get the best candidates. You're competing with people from every part of the world. So that's why your application has to be excellent. You are competing with thousands of people. For some vacancies, sometimes we receive 3,000 applications. So you have to stand out. So that is why it's so important to do a good application. That's the first entry point. And if we get to the interview, you prepare for the interview and you come for the interview. But you're competing with all other people. What are the main mistakes? You do not do a good application. They do not describe the functions. They just put a line. My duties were assisting the director. Full stop. 5 years there. What do we know about how you did it? So you have to take time in doing a good application. So your nationality will not come in at the beginning. What we want to know who we are going to come for the interview are the best candidates, no matter where in the world they are. Obviously, at the end, we do bear in mind countries that are and under, we do bear in mind women, but at the end of the day, our charter, the charter that all the governments signed, said we need to get the best people for the job. Okay, I'm very sorry now we have to end. It's 12 o'clock. I want to thank you on behalf of my colleagues and here for coming. We would not be able to do this without each and every one of you. And I really hope I will see some of you in the corridors at some point in time. Or if you don't join us, that you will contribute to the UN wherever and however you can do it. So thank you very much to you and to all of you.
We also want to thank you very much. Thank you so much for your thorough and wonderful presentation and for being here today with us. And I was going to ask for a strong applause again just for having you here today. Thank you. Y solo anunciar que aquellos que estén interesados en recibir un CD con la grabación del seminario, por favor, pasen al área de registro. Muchas gracias por asistir.